Happier Than Ever is Billie Eilish's sophomore album following When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? And this has 16 tracks here, and the album is 56 minutes long. Honestly, going into this, I was excited. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was quite excited going into this. I listened to that first album that I talked about, the When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Or whatever it's called, I can't remember exactly. I listened to it back when it was originally released. I've only really heard it once, and I remember it being pretty good. I remember like, okay, this is actually a lot better than I expected it to be. And honestly, I think Billie Eilish is one of the most talented people working today. Like, she is just insanely good. She's such a great person, and I think that's the main reason I listened to this, not just so I could review it, just because I really love her as a person. I've seen her in interviews and with like Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day. Obviously, their names are spelled the same way, so that's, you know, kind of part of it. I think that's pretty fun, and I was kind of expecting this album to be great, and it sure as hell was. So I'm in Florida right now. That's where I am. That's why I'm sitting in this room, and that's where the lighting is just all on my face, because it's the natural lighting and all this. And the reason I listened to this one is also because I was traveling so much yesterday. Now, I wrote my entire review yesterday. I have it written down here, obviously. That's kind of what I'm reading off of. I don't normally say that, but that's the truth. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. I listened to it on the way to the airport. Now, mind you, I listened to this at about 6:15 in the morning, but I was listening to Slipknot before this, so I mean, it was like 2 songs, but still. But when I finished it, I was like, damn, like this was insanely good. There were some big standout tracks to me, but I'm going to discuss all the tracks later. This album, though, is really special. I think the atmosphere is really captured well. Like, there's a certain feeling you get when listening to it, and I've seen people post like pictures saying like, this is what it's like to listen to Happier Than Ever, and I'm like, you're not wrong. And, you know, maybe there is the odd misstep here, but I feel like this will not only please her regular fans, but also the general audience. The mixing was outstanding as always, like the sound mixing. Every time I've heard a song by her, I'm like, damn, like the mixing sounds really good here. And it's done by her brother Phineas. I know they've made, I think, almost every single, if not every single one of their songs together. Also, there were a few songs that felt a little experimental, and having a song be experimental in 2021 is just insane. Like, this is definitely an alternative album, but there were definitely some songs which they went for it, and for me it worked. Sometimes they'll use like loops or extra little sound effects to make the music almost seem blurry, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if you listening will understand what I'm saying, but sometimes when I listen to this, I'm like, it sounds almost blurry. I don't know what it was. And trust me, I mean that in the best way possible. The album also has some of my favorite songs of recent years. Again, another thing I did not expect to say. I knew it was going to be good, but I did not expect to say this was going to have some of my favorite songs here. My top 3 songs as of now are Halley's Comet, Everybody Dies, and Your Power. And I didn't actually know any of them going into it. All I knew was the line is like, stop. What the hell are you talking about? But that's all I knew, and obviously that's on a different track. But she doesn't stick to the basics here, because there's one track that is not really a song. It's her speaking, but the way it's mixed is kind of like a song, so it's really interesting. It has a very important message, and I will discuss that song later when I go through the entire track list. And I've seen Billie post on her Instagram, because I do follow her on there, and she said like how proud she is of this album, how she like wants to cry just because she feels it's so personal, and she should really be proud of this album. It is a work of art. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into every single track here. Normally I do this on my first time listening, but with an album like this, I feel like it's essential to talk about every single one of the tracks, so let's do this. Getting Older had some phenomenal vocals, and I already expected that here, but especially the high notes, they were really impressive, and the lyrics were really great. I feel like she's one of the best songwriters that is working right now. Her or Phineas, I don't know exactly who writes the lyrics. That's my bad, sorry. When the beat of I Didn't Change My Number started, I was a little worried just because I'm not the biggest fan of like hi-hat beats, just because it's so commonly used now today, but it's still a solid song, not close to the best one on here, but still solid. In Billie Bossa Nova, Billie proves her vocal capabilities once again with a very breathy performance, but it's something that only she could pull off. My Future has phenomenal sound mixing and the best vocals up until that point of the album. I'm again not a big fan of the hi-hat beats in really any song, but here it definitely is passable because every single other aspect is top notch. The opening beat of Oxytocin almost sounds like the opening to some like old Stones song, like something like Sympathy for the Devil, which I never expected to compare them. I never expected to compare Billie Eilish to the Rolling Stones, but here we are. But this is one of those songs that actually does feel experimental in 2021 because of the unique and almost odd sound mixing, but it does still work. Goldwing features some great use of double tracking, and for some reason reminds me of a Christmas song in the beginning. In the middle though, it transforms into something very different, and I can see the lights on stage during this song going crazy. In the beginning of Lost Cause, you can hear some drums and even a bass, which to me, it's still cool to hear that there are some real instruments being used in 2021 because a lot of this stuff is made on computers and all this, so I thought that was kind of special. There's a reason why this one is starred here on Apple Music. That chorus really gets stuck in your head, and just having real instruments on a track that will top the charts is pretty special. Haley's Comment is my favorite song on the album, and right from the opening, I knew I was getting into something special. Unlike the other songs so far, this one opens up with a soft piano and some trembling vocals from Billie. The lyrics are heartbreaking. This is easily my favorite song on the album. Not My Responsibility is one that doesn't even feel like a song. It feels like an important speech that Billie is kind of projecting to her whole audience, but it still works with the rest of the songs on this album. It has a very important message, and there are some other songs here that have very important messages, but this one is just so straight up. She's talking about how people are trying to make comments on her body. First, how she always wore baggy clothes and they commented on her body, but the second she starts doing Vogue magazine and kind of exposes herself in a way, like, of course not in a bad way, people are still mad at it, and she talks about that in this song, and then she ends it off with, "That's not my responsibility," and I'm getting chills even talking about it. It's a really great performance that I could even see people doing for some live, like almost poetry. This song is like poetry. Overheated has another memorable chorus with a deeper voice double tracking Billie. The beat is snappy and has some kick to it, although I will say this is one of those times where the vocals needed to be brought up in the mixing, but then again, that could just be me. My AirPods are a little bit messed up, so that could just be me. Everybody Dies has some hard-hitting lyrics that are once again performed to perfection by Billie. I didn't expect to feel super impacted by a song on this album, but this one really comes close with Haley's Comment for my favorite. There are some lyrics here that are just super impactful and emotional, and I feel like this is another one of those songs that probably won't be played on the radio too much, but it really should be. There's just something about this song that resonates with me, and now as I'm kind of looking in the viewfinder of the camera, it's weird how my hand, it's just like the lighting and everything, that's my problem, but this song, just there's something so special about it. It really resonates with me, and I actually added this one along with two other ones to my playlist, which again, I didn't expect to do, but here we are. As of recording, I'd say Your Power is the most popular song from the album. If I remember correctly, this was, I think, the first song released, so that's probably why. This one fixes the issue I had with a few previous songs, and that's that the vocals are much more prominent in the mix, and when you're one of the best modern singers, I think that's quite important. This is one of my favorite songs I've ever written. I feel very vulnerable putting this one out because I hold it so close to my heart, she wrote. The beat for NDA was very memorable, but there wasn't too much about the song that stood out to me until the ending. It finishes off really strong, but that first and kind of halfway point, I was like, yeah, this is one of the weaker ones, just my opinion though. There are times where it can feel a little bit exaggerated, but by no means is it a bad song. Therefore I Am is an instant staple of Billie's discography with that line I talked about before, "Stop, what the hell are you talking about?" I'm not even gonna try to recreate it. And it's instantly recognizable for many reasons, and social media is one of them. The beat of this song is one of my favorites from the album, and it just sounds like Billie was having a ton of fun while recording this song. Happier Than Ever is basically a straight up acoustic song for the most part, and it feels essential on an album with this vibe. Just like some other songs on here, it's very thought-provoking, and when looking up the meaning, a lot of people say it's about her ex. Again, I don't know too much about her and her personal life, so I guess it's just for you guys to tell me down below. But this one starts off slow and then just crescendos into this big power ballad that I could see closing some of her future shows. From the name alone, Male Fantasy, you know exactly what you're getting into with a song like this. Just like Not My Responsibility, this one has a very important message. I doubt this will be played on the radio a lot, but I think it's one of the most important songs of the entire year. Happier Than Ever is a powerful, thought-provoking, gripping, and inspiring album. Billie Eilish proves why she's one of the leading artists today with emotional performances on songs like Your Power, Haley's Comment, and Everybody Dies. I'll admit I don't know how much I'm gonna listen to this album all the way through, but that's not a fault with the album, that's just me. I'm gonna give Billie Eilish's Happier Than Ever a 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, this was really great, and I know this review is a lot longer. I'm not sure how many people will click on it. I know probably my basic audience won't expect me to do a video like this, but I just really want to talk about this album because it's one of the best of the year. I feel like it will win Album of the Year. I'm not sure where it ranks amongst the other albums. I know that Medicine at Midnight is another one I loved, and then of course the Tragically Hip released an EP. I know it's not a full album, not an LP or whatever, but I've loved them all. These are the only 3 albums I've heard so far this year. I'll probably talk about the Imagine Dragons album later this year, just because I was a fan of them years and years ago. It's been forever since I listened to them, but I feel like that'll be a fun conversation. And I do want to go back and listen to her other albums again, just because I know they're interesting. I'm pretty sure she had an EP and then a full album. I know I've heard like the full album. I'm not sure about the EP. I don't think I have, but I might make some Instagram posts, maybe something about that, or a music board. Make sure to follow me on there. And if you've listened to this album, tell me, is it your favorite Billie Eilish album, or does it rank amongst the other ones? What are your favorite songs off it? And thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.